So we've kind of taken a look at a couple of the built-in objects and methods. When we looked at window alert and window.prompt, we went to W3 Schools. We kind of took a look at the information there where they discussed not only methods, but they also talked about properties. And now we're going to talk about how to create your own objects and properties. So there's two different ways you can do it. You can use object literal notation or object constructor notation. Literal notation is implicit. Object constructor notation is explicit. And we'll take a look here. So version 1, we have the keyword var followed by whatever we're going to call our object, and then we proceed to have property value pairs inside curly braces. Okay, and this is X or implicit because it's assuming the minute it sees a property value pair, it assumes that it has an object. We're really not telling it it's an object using a keyword of new, okay? It's making the assumption that it is an object. Okay, and this is just a little different way of coding the exact same thing. So these are both ways of coding implicit objects. Okay, so in both examples, customer data is the name of the object. Name, age, and birthday are properties. If you have an object that you've created and you want to change a property, all you have to do is use the object name and a dot, followed by the property name, and set that equal to a new value. So originally customer data.name was Sally Jones, and here I am changing it to Scooby-Doo. Originally customer data.age was 32, and here I'm setting it to 14. And I'm also changing the birthday as well. So to see this in a full programming example, you can take a look here, and you can also kind of view it live over here. Okay, so that's what it was originally, and this is what we changed it to. And if you right-click and go to View Page Source, you can see all the code. I love it when it loses my place. Okay, so first way of creating objects is the literal notation. Second way is the object constructor notation. This is explicit because we are using the keyword new. So we have a variable, we're declaring the name of the object as customer data, and we're saying, hey, this is a new object. This is explicit. It's not making any assumptions. Okay, we're telling it we're creating an object. Here's an example using the constructor notation. So we've got customer data. We've said it's a new object. And then you can see that we're assigning the properties values here. To modify the object, it's the same regardless of how the object was created. So it doesn't matter if you created it using the implicit or explicit. Okay? To change the properties, it's the exact same technique. And if you wanted to run that program, you could run that as well. If you want to remove a property, all you have to do is key in the word delete, followed by the object name dot property name. So here's an example using the literal notation where I've got person.first name, person.last name, person.age, person.eye color. Okay, and the next line deletes person.age. So that property is gone. And if you would like to view this live, you can see, here's that same example. And you can see they've deleted age. So poor John is undefined years old. And if you wanted to delete something besides age, you could delete first name instead. And run it. Then undefined is 50 years old. And going back down here, to add a new property value. So it is pretty simple to add a property value. You just take the object and a dot, and whatever property you want to add, you key that in and set it equal to a value. That will create the age property. And the next one is creating the birthday property. So to create a method in an object, it's a little different depending if you do the constructor or literal notation. So this first example is showing you how to do it using constructor notation. So you can see that I've got a pet object, and I've got a name property, a breed property, a color property, and then I've got display. This is not a property because it is set equal to a function. Because pet is an object, I'm creating a function called display. This is how you create a method in JavaScript. Okay, pet is my object. Display is going to be the name of the method. Okay, and this is basically what the routine is doing. It's just formatting a little string that's got some HTML, some text, and some properties in it. So if we wanted to call the display method, you can call it in an alert. You can call it in a write line. All you have to do is put the object in front of the method. Because this is a method, you do need to include a left and a right parenthesis. So to see that example live, enter the name of your pet. We'll say Fido, the breed, poodle, color, black. Okay, so this pet information is what the display function is showing. Okay, so the display function returned all of this. It returned it to the right line, and that is why we saw it right out to the screen. So this was constructor notation. So you can do the same thing with literal notation. It's just coded a bit different, right? Because we aren't saying variable pet equals new object. Okay, so this is implicit. We got variable pet equals, and then you can see we have a name property, breed, color, and then we have display. So these are name value pairs. So for our little method, we've got the name of the method and the value is function. And you'll notice the return statement looks identical. So if you compare these, you'll notice you have the name value pairs here with literal, and you don't with constructor. Okay, you're actually doing assignment statements here. So that is kind of the primary difference. The end result with either method is the same. If you run this literal notation program and you run this constructor notation program, results are going to be the same. Okay, and the next video is going to talk about how to do multiple objects.